we go. It seems that we are on, we are live, and we are about to get crazy right over here. Yes, hello, ladies and gentlemen, to a very special episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And let me tell you, this week was absolutely huge for animation. In fact, you could say that it was an absolute emotional roller coaster that we have been through, and a lot of these news that we have right over here, they are extremely big. So big, in fact, that I cannot do this alone. I had to bring someone over in order to help me discuss these stories. And this is someone in which I have recently collaborated with. And for once, in AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, I actually have an animator with me. So please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, from the YouTube channel ToucanLDM, Logan Miller. Logan, what is up, my man?
Oh, it's all good, man. Thank you for having me on board.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. By the way, just like as a quick summary, for the people who might not necessarily be familiar with people who are not familiar with who you are, do you mind introducing yourself to the audience?
Yes, my name is Logan Miller. Some of you may know me best as ToucanLDM. Basically what I do for YouTube is like I make really bizarre crossovers, mainly be involving like My Little Pony. If you're like familiar with like My Little Pony meets Spider-Man, Batman, Elsa, and all that stuff, then you might have a good understanding like who I am. And not only that, but also recently I've been making like these like Smash Bros. Animation called Smash Unexpected, like for Smash Unexpected, Isabelle Unexpected, and all this. And my recent work, King K. Rool Unexpected, which has featured you voicing both Fox and Goomba in that video. Which thank you again for participating
Yeah,
in
it
that.
was definitely a lot of fun, but honestly, in terms of voice acting, the real credit has to go to South Jersey Sam as King K. Rool. I'm not gonna lie, that was really unexpected. Like, he really, like, honestly, I know how Sam usually sounds, and, like, suddenly as King K. Rool, it's like, who is this guy? Oh my god, it's Sam! Like, holy crap. Like,
Yeah,
no,
he did
he's,
really good.
yeah, go
Yeah,
on.
he did really a great job with that, and he also it was his idea to come up with that particular episode because after I made the Ridley episode, he had this idea to do one for King K. Rool since he was announced for a fighter, and I was on board with it, and we just went from there. So, Sammy, watching this, thank you again for your help with that.
Yeah, Sam. Yeah, major thanks, dude. By the way, I need to remember myself. Maybe Sam, you could be a good guest on board. Like, I just need to set myself a reminder for that. But anyways, with all that said and done, I would like to ask to everybody, you Logan, and in the chat wall, are you all ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, folks. Logan, are you ready?
Maybe. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
ready.
actually, one more thing. I forgot. I promised you to send the link, so here it is. Just wanted to send that real quick. All right, so
Yep.
looks like yeah, people in the chat wall seem to be pretty much ready. So that is perfect. That is great to hear, and we are good to go. But first of all, to discuss about our first story, unfortunately, I hate to do this for you, Logan, but we do have to start things off on a pretty sad note because this week we have seen something that was really tragic. And just like the Stan Lee one, this is an individual that really made a massive impact in the industry, and his loss, honestly, is probably the most sudden and honestly the most tragic of them all. And what I have to talk about, of course, has to be let me see. That's right. We're going to talk about Stephen Hillenburg. Unfortunately, Stephen Hillenburg, the creator of SpongeBob SquarePants, has passed away this week at the age of 57 due to ALS, in which he was diagnosed back March of last year. Now, to give you guys a little bit of a summary of who Stephen Hillenburg is, interestingly enough, this was a guy who was a lot more interested in marine biology. There was a little summary of his history in my article here in Variety stating that he started out studying in the Humboldt State University in 1984 with a bachelor's degree in natural resource planning and interpretation, where he wanted to get into marine biology, and he even became a teacher in the Orange County Marine Institute. But things suddenly decided, he suddenly decided that he wants to have a bit of a career change, where in 1987, he decided to get into animation, and he would eventually graduate at CalArts for experimental animation. And he has made a few successful shorts, which actually got him a job at Nickelodeon, where he would slowly climb up the ranks, where he would be a storyboard artist, a writer, and even a director for some of the episodes for Rocko's Modern Life. It wouldn't be until the late 90s that would come in, and eventually on May 1st, 1999, that he decided to put out his own animated series combining his love for animation and marine biology with SpongeBob SquarePants. And I guess the best way to describe afterwards is that the rest is history. So, Logan, I'm sure you would have a few words to describe what's going on with all this.
Yeah, so basically, what I have to say for Stefan is that he definitely made history with a sponge, and this is something that was never like because when it comes to like more famous cartoon characters like Mickey Mouse, Bugs Bunny, and Woody Woodpecker, all that stuff, they're all like animals per se. And who would have thought like a sponge will be up there that rank of like well-known cartoon characters? And personally, SpongeBob, SpongeBob will always have a special place in my heart because it was like the cartoon show growing up with, and it definitely brings like a lot of joy and it makes like great memories while watching that show, and it definitely helps like being like a big influence when it comes to making my own like animations and all that stuff, because if there's one thing that I really love about SpongeBob is unpredictability, because this is definitely the show that you don't know what to come to expect when it comes to like this humor and all that stuff. Like it definitely brings like a certain charm with like its unique humor, characters, and all that stuff. And say what you want about like the later episodes of the show, it still has this charm a little bit here and there after like the first movie, and I still get some enjoyment out of that. And man, I don't think like none of the show can like compete with like the first three seasons of the show, because it's definitely something that even if you're not really into like animation, people will adore SpongeBob for what it is. And yeah, there's some people that don't really care for like it and all that stuff, but in the end, it's definitely like a major icon in like pop culture. And I don't know what it'll be like with if we don't have the show nowadays. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I could say right now, with my personal relationship with SpongeBob, I can say right now that SpongeBob is not only my personal favorite Nickelodeon series, but also one of my favorite animated series ever. There was a time when, growing up, like I would always try to catch SpongeBob on TV. Now, I heard that I'm pretty much similar to many people, where I pretty much quit SpongeBob somewhere around season 4 or season 5. It's somewhere around that area. But I remember there was a time I adored watching SpongeBob, and some of the episodes were just amazing. In fact, looking back at it, I do realize that even SpongeBob has influenced me a lot in terms of developing my comedic style. That, like, a lot of it is influenced from SpongeBob in terms of stuff like the unpredictability and the execution of some of the comedic takes that they would deliver upon. It was amazing. And I think it really is important to note regarding SpongeBob that for Nickelodeon, it really was a massive game changer. Like, in the past, Nickelodeon has seen some success with their shows like Ren and Stimpy, Hey Arnold, what else? Rugrats, and all the
Progress, yeah.
yeah, and all that kind of stuff. And also the already mentioned Rocko's Modern Life. They were doing very well, but SpongeBob SquarePants really was a show that was a massive game changer to Nickelodeon, that really put them right up there where they're like a legitimate threat to Cartoon Network, and really changed the landscape, not just of Nickelodeon, but also of marketing and developing animated series in general. Because I have heard also the way that they would execute the marketing of SpongeBob, where they pretty much let anybody like to have a license for SpongeBob SquarePants. Like, if you want to make a thing with SpongeBob, then Nickelodeon would be happy to just give you the license, and just you can sell it from there. And it just became a massive global conglomerate. And even in terms of the influence, like not just with me and Logan, but in terms of how it would influence future animated series, you could tell how a lot of inspiration would actually come from SpongeBob, even though a lot of people would say that, like, technically SpongeBob itself would actually be inspired by some of the older Nickelodeon shows. Like, a lot of people would make comparisons to Ren and Stimpy or Rocko's Modern Life. But in terms of SpongeBob itself, it really became this hub of how it would branch out into other TV shows and really change the landscape of animation.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, like before SpongeBob, there was like the Rugrats, and it was like previous. I mean, that was like the Nickelodeon's like hugest property at the time, right before SpongeBob came along, and like so was Glory. And yes, SpongeBob is like, yeah, going back to what I said about like this unpredictability, like what people really love about the show is like it has like a distinct humor that I don't think you can really find anywhere else in like any TV shows. Like, yeah, some tried and all that stuff, but it's more like the execution upon like the show itself. Like a good example is like the episode News, the one where Patrick goes to like boating school with SpongeBob. The whole bit with like the whole, you know, what's funnier than 24?
24, yes.
25, 25. Yeah, like in any other show, I don't think that joke's gonna work so well because the way that SpongeBob did it is so it's silly, but it's so greatly silly that it's like you can't help but laugh every time that joke appears on TV. And I will say the highest point in SpongeBob for me at least, I remember I was on vacation with my family and cousins, and we were watching the episode, the Krusty Krab training video for the first time. Like I've never seen it before.
Yes.
And when it comes to that ending scene, like right before they reveal like the secret ingredient to the Krusty Krab formula, they cut to commercial, and we were all like stumped, like, wait, why did they cut off the episode? Like we were all like confused and all that stuff until we realized like that's part of the joke. And it's like I just love that so much. Like you don't know what to come to expect with the show.
Yeah, honestly, I remember watching that episode for the first time for me. Like, I was really invested in really getting into it. My viewing, however, I did not immediately go to commercial. What happened was that it immediately cut to credits. And, like, I was invested and I was ready to listen, like, because I'm sure that there was a time for everyone where we all really, like, we all got into the mystery of the Krabby Patty secret formula. And I remember, like, when I was watching it, I was ready to, like, listen and to know what it is. And I thought it was, like, an error. I thought it was something on the Canadian feed because I'm from Canada, so I would watch SpongeBob on YTV. So I would just listen to it, and then, like, they would mention, like, the secret formula, and then cuts to credits. And I was just there, like, no, wait, what is it? No! Like, I was freaking out, and, like, I thought it was, like, the Canadian feed's fault, but then I realized, no, it was actually a part of the joke. I think it was when I got one of the DVDs that actually had that episode. It was only then when I realized, they did that on purpose.
Yeah, talk about like them being like the original trolls and all that stuff.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
in the end, we all know that the secret formula is indeed plankton, so
oh yeah. Oh my god, that is an amazing reaction. But
yeah.
Also, I just want to know, out of curiosity, do you have a personal favorite episode of SpongeBob?
Oh geez, there's like so many to choose from. I will say my all-time favorite episode, deep down in my heart, and I'm sure it's everybody else's favorite episode, Band Geeks. That's like
Band Geeks, of course.
the best episode of SpongeBob because what made that episode work for me is like not only is the humor great, the Sweet Victory song at the end is really great, but what makes it for me is the teamwork with all the characters involved with that episode. Because you got like SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, Sandy, Mr. Krabs, Mrs. Puff, Larry. You got all these characters coming together, helping like Squidward in desperate need, and it just shows like how much these characters like do care for each other. Like there's another episode like a more recent episode where it's like SpongeBob tried to like go home at like trying to watch like this new special episode like Mermaid and a Barnacle Boy, but couldn't because all his friends like trying to do like his task. And once it comes to a point where it's like missed out on the episode, he's feeling all sad and depressed, and all his friends feel bad for him. So in the end, they all work together, like help him like recreate that episode just for his viewing. And I just love like all these different, like I say, all these characters coming together, helping like somebody else in need, and that's what I absolutely love about SpongeBob. It's like even though like there's some episodes where they show like they can be like mean to each other, honest, and here and there, but in the end they do show that they do care for each other, just here and there. So that's, but yeah, Band Geeks. Oh my god, that talk about like a perfect episode for that.
Oh, absolutely. That definitely was a great episode. For me, however, like even though I love Band Geeks, that was great. For me, my personal favorite that I will always remember and probably have my best memories with SpongeBob, Chocolate with Nuts. That is one of the funniest episodes that I've ever seen in an animated series. It just works out so well, and it's just it really was a lot of fun where like the delivery on each gag is so well executed, and even one of my favorite moments ever is just like it's so unexpected, it's so subtle, but it gives me the biggest laugh ever. It's like when SpongeBob and Patrick goes to one of the customers like to knock on the door. It's like you just see SpongeBob, now Patrick, you gotta remember, you gotta try to be nice to the customer, flatter them, and then like the guy just opens up, hello, I love you. And it always gives me such a huge laugh just for that little subtle I love you.
Yeah, that is so perfect. Like everything about that episode works, and that's definitely up there as like one of my personal favorite episodes as well. Like who would never forget chocolate? Like just the word chocolate. Like I think you all know what I'm talking about.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
Yeah, like I said, like it's just like the unexpected like turns the show goes, and it's just even when I first saw the episode as a kid, like I was like laughing my butt off. Like it was so perfect that just made my day.
Oh, yeah. But you know, it actually does bring up another major thing about SpongeBob that really does leave a major impact is really in terms of internet culture. Outside of Shrek, SpongeBob is one of the most memeable cartoons ever. Like whenever, like even when people would try to make a reaction or something, they would always go to SpongeBob to post some kind of reaction. And even there have been a lot of SpongeBob memes that really did go viral and really did get popular. In fact, it got like the SpongeBob memes got so popular, even Nickelodeon tried to market them. Like I remember there were like some small series of collectibles where you can actually buy actual SpongeBob memes rather it actually be like the cake. Yeah. Oh, do you have some?
Yeah. Speaking of which, hold on.
Oh
I actually got like a few right here. Actually, like here's one of like I don't know if you can see like caveman SpongeBob.
Yeah, the caveman
right
SpongeBob is just like.
Exactly, and then there's one, and the other one I got is like surprise face Patrick.
That's a popular one from the movie.
Oh yeah, I saw these and I was like, yeah, this is definitely a must for me. I wish I would have got like the one with like the lifeguard and Squidward dabbing, but these two would work. These work perfectly as well.
Yeah, that's true. I would have to say one of the weirdest SpongeBob memes actually does come from like the Squidward dab is one of the weirdest, considering the fact that it wasn't from an episode, it was actually from a parade at Universal. Like there was at one point someone asked, like they went up there like, hey Squidward, do a dab, and you just see Squidward just standing there and that's it. And somehow that really catched on, I think, to the point that they even made it official in one of the episodes.
Did they? I don't remember that.
I think there were like it probably happened in one of the later episodes, but I think there was a moment where they actually made, like, maybe someone in the chat wall would correct me on that, but I think there is actually an episode where Squidward did legit make that reference of doing the Squidward dab.
I wouldn't be surprised with modern Nickelodeon. I mean, the Loud House does that, so I wouldn't be surprised. And you know what's funny? It's come to the point where actually Universal Studios actually did ban Squidward from dabbing because so many people was asking to do it ever since that video. Yeah, I remember like seeing like this video talking about like fun facts about the parade, and it's like, yeah, I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have been one of those idiots too, so.
Oh my god. All I can imagine now is like a Universal parade, and like when the SpongeBob float comes in, like people are gonna shout out like dab, 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 dab.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, knowing how society is nowadays, of course they would do that. But it's also very interesting to note how, and some people in the chat wall, they have mentioned this as well, about the way that SpongeBob would really go on to actually have some achievements that not many other animated series has ever gotten. Like, we actually got 2 movies from SpongeBob so far, with a third one coming up. And the 2 movies, like, in my opinion, they're fantastic. Like, the SpongeBob movie and even Sponge Out of Water, they're actually well made. They're actually a lot of fun, and they really do capture the spirit of the original show. And it serves as a really good example of an animated film based on a TV show.
Exactly. Even though I like the Sponge Out of Water better than the original, I still have a soft spot for, I mean, I just really love both of those movies. And that one scene in the first movie where like you think like SpongeBob and Patrick are about to like die during like when they're being like dried up and
Oh,
such like
yeah.
that still gets me in tears every time I watch that scene because it's just like these you're seeing like these 2 lovable characters like about to die, but they're about to be they're going to be bring back to life, but it's just like the execution of that scene is like still hurts to watch that every time. But yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely love both those movies.
But I also love the way that they also integrated a bit of comedy into that sad scene where, like, right after they dried up and died, we get back to the theater, we see all the crying pirates, and even one of them is like, "Look, the goofy goober's here," and then suddenly things get back to normal. Oh, yeah, that was definitely a fun movie. It was definitely great. And also on top of that, one of the very rare things that ever happened to a cartoon property, and especially for a non-Disney property, is the fact that, I don't know if you've ever seen it or heard anything from it, it has a Broadway musical. And not only that, a pretty highly praised musical, and one that actually got a whole bunch of Tony Awards.
That's surprising because I would never expect SpongeBob of all things being like a musical because I did hear about it and I meant to like listen to the soundtrack, but I haven't got a chance to do so. So I definitely will like list. I mean, I do have it purchased on iTunes, so I'll definitely like take a look and listen to it because I heard it's pretty really good for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, we live in an age where it's like anything can be turned to a musical. I mean, there's Mean Girls the musical. There's Legally Blonde the musical. I think there's a Jaws musical somewhere, but it's
Maybe. Well, I know there's
I
a
could
King
be
Kong
wrong.
musical coming up.
That's right. So anything's possible. But yeah, of all things, it some yeah, SpongeBob I was not expecting at all. Though I do like the designs of how they make him more humanized. That's
Mm.
pretty cool.
Yeah, true. I think it's more like we are at the point that it's not necessarily SpongeBob that really broke the boundaries that literally anything can happen, because we are in an age where if the Lion King can be a very success no, if the Lion King can be one of the most successful musicals of all time, then literally anything can be a musical. So it wouldn't be surprising that SpongeBob would become a musical, and on top of that actually be a very successful musical. It got nominated, I think, for like 12 or 11 Tony Awards, and it actually got a few itself, or maybe just got one, but still,
That's
like,
really
yeah.
yeah, that's really awesome. Yeah, I
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
will check out the soundtrack soon.
Yeah, same here, same here. I would be interested to see, like, what it would have. Unfortunately, I think it's gone, or it's in the process of being gone because of lack of ticket sales. But still, the fact that SpongeBob had a Broadway musical and gathered up a lot of Tony Award nominations, like, that is a massive achievement in itself.
It is, yeah. If you make it a Broadway, then you definitely made it. So
Yeah, especially for an animated property. But going back to the factor of Stefan Hillenburg, I will say that if there is one thing that I do regret, or that I would wish to see more from him, is I would have liked to see, like I said, more out of Stefan Hillenburg than just SpongeBob. If he could actually go and present more of his creative chops. I think, like, he was planning on trying to do other projects, but like, he kind of stuck with SpongeBob at that point. But like, honestly, it would have been great, like, try to be a little bit like Matt Groening or Seth MacFarlane, in a sense, where
mhm.
they would actually he would actually go and develop more TV shows to show that he's not just about SpongeBob. Like, he also can do this or that.
Right. And speaking of like what you said, it would be interesting to see him like it would be interesting to see if he could do like make like an adult cartoon show, see how he can like do there because you know like SpongeBob can have some like innuendos and all that stuff. It would be interesting, but yeah, I mean it's his decision and all that stuff. And I remember like because Rocco Mom's Life is another show I really love out of the Nicktoons, and the episodes that he wrote are definitely like some of the more like greatest ones. And I remember like having like good memories with Rocco as well. And yeah, it's just like it would be cool, but yeah, it's like understandable why he couldn't and all that stuff. And I wasn't quite sure what he was doing like after he left like the first time he left SpongeBob. Like was he like
Mhm.
still into like the marine stuff and all that stuff or
I think so. I think he still had that interest in him. I think he just wanted to explore different boundaries at that point. But I remember, like, he originally wanted to end off SpongeBob for good, or at least, like, his association with SpongeBob, like, to make the movie as, like, the big grand finale, and that would be it for him. But then they did bring him back afterwards with Sponge out of water. And soon after that, like, he did temporarily stayed a little bit, and from there
yeah.
some SpongeBob episodes actually did gain a little bit of momentum.
Right, because with the later episodes, he was like executive producer for most of the episodes in the later season. And
Yeah.
I find like, well, they're not as great as like the previous episodes. They still have like their own charm to it, and like the animation. I don't know if you've seen like the more recent episodes of SpongeBob. They're definitely like over the top with like their animation style. It's definitely like really great compared to like how it was back in season 8 or 6 and that dark era of SpongeBob. So
Yeah, like you could tell in the later seasons that they are going a little bit more experimental and even go a little bit like a little bit wild with its animation to show extreme poses and stuff like that, and even doing plenty of other stuff. Like one great example is actually with Bubble Bass, where they Bubble Bass made SpongeBob and Patrick work hard, and it was all for the promise of free lunch. And then you see Patrick all pissed off confronting Bubble Bass, like, if my friend SpongeBob doesn't get his free lunch. And then suddenly we see like a close up of him where he has like realistic eyes and a realistic mouth. It's like, things are about to get crazy.
yeah, it's SpongeBob charm is still there. I absolutely love it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But I think overall, it really does show the massive cultural impact that Stefan Hillenburg has left with just this one animated series that he has done. The way that it would not only influence animation in general, but just influence society, like influence internet culture, influence comedy, just influence, like even influence Broadway out of all things. Like, this really is an animation legend and really someone who has left a major impact in the animation industry.
Right. He's basically like up there with like Walt Disney and Matt Groening and all these other well-known animators that influence a lot of people. And I gotta give him really lots of credit for that.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's really great.
Yeah, for me, like I definitely put him up. I would put him up like among like with Hanna Barbera in terms of influencers for television animation. So at that point, I feel like it definitely shows that this guy definitely touched the hearts of like millions or even billions of people with just one of the most unexpected things you could find with like a sponge, and just really go from there. So honestly, for that, I just want to say, Stefan Hillenburg, thank you so much for everything that you have done, and thank you for just bringing me so much joy growing up with SpongeBob.
And I agree. Thank you, Stefan, in the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for bringing life, beloved Sponge. I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah. So, with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall right over here, and I want to ask you guys right now, do you have any words that you would like to express about Stefan Hillenburg or your personal relationship with SpongeBob? I would like to know what you guys think. So, let's see. I do hope the show ends after the third movie. If the show continues without Hillenburg, the show could enter another dark era of SpongeBob, which lasted from 2017 to 2014. I fear that we might get another Splinter, one-course meal, and a pal for Gary if they went in that direction. Well, I mean, the news that I've heard so far is that even without Stefan Hillenburg, they're going to still continue making more SpongeBob. Like, that's a given right there.
Yeah, I don't see no point in stopping anytime soon unless they somehow like stop in the ratings,
Yeah,
which I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. I mean, it's up competition with like the Loud House right now, so we'll see what happens.
exactly. Hearing about Stefan Hillenburg's death put me into tears because what he provided for my childhood and many others was truly amazing. When researching, when researching for my Rotoscopers article on him, it was quite remarkable to learn how his fascination and career history on marine biology would lead into to create an actual phenomenon. And I greatly admire how his simple creation of a quirky sponge became a great example of how animation could become such a universal art for going far and beyond the kids-only stigma. May he rest in peace. Alright, so that's nice right there. Let's see. The fact that Hillenburg is gone, well, the fact that Hillenburg is gone, you so much Hillenburg for... Oh, thank you so much, Hillenburg, for making SpongeBob a massive part of my childhood. From this world is really depressing. He was a man who created possibly the most popular animated cartoon series of all time. I really do hope for the best for his family and his legendary creation, SpongeBob SquarePants. Also, because of all this, I think that Nick will have to end the series after the third movie. I'm in the mood for a Krusty Krab pizza. Yeah, some people still want the series to end. It ain't gonna happen, guys. Just saying.
No, it can be either really great or it can be like back in the bottom barrel like it was back in season 6 or 8. But I mean, any show has like the slumps, ups and downs. So
yeah, exactly.
We'll just see what happens.
Especially for a show that like next year, SpongeBob is gonna have its 20th anniversary.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So
that's going to be really unique.
Oh yeah. So I'm sure that Nickelodeon is going to make a big deal out of it, and like they'll have a big way to celebrate SpongeBob's 20th anniversary. I'll read one more thing about Stefan Hillenburg, and then we're going to move on to our next story. So SpongeBob SquarePants was one of my favorite cartoon shows of all time. Seeing Hillenburg died because of ALS made me sad a bit more because I got a chance to meet Tom Kenny himself at the Rowling SuperCon to get an autograph. SpongeBob SquarePants will always have a special place in my heart, and I will never forget Hillenburg in my heart and him making this show. I hope you get a Patreon request of reviewing the first SpongeBob movie one day and give dedication to Hillenburg more. Alright, so I think with that said, we're pretty much good with Stefan Hillenburg. You know, we wiped away all our tears. We shared our mournings, so hopefully we can look forward positively in the future with SpongeBob SquarePants and with Stefan Hillenburg's legacy. So with all that said, let us now go and move on to some more happier stuff. So don't worry, the next stories that I have here won't be as depressing. They won't be as mournful as this one. Things are going to go uphill from here. And what else can we pick in order to brighten up the mood right now than, of course, with Spider-Man? Because this week we have seen some massive early buzz about the upcoming animated film Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So far, it's already been getting great ratings, and people would commonly point out that it still has 100% rating in Rotten Tomatoes right now. So the hype really is building up with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So much so that they are going to be making more out of it. Sony noticed this, and they are going to be developing a lot more with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So, yes, with the early buzz, Sony Pictures Animation revealed that they are indeed going to be moving ahead with a sequel to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. They already brought on board David Callahan to write the script, who has already written movies such as The Expendables, and is also currently in the process of working on Wonder Woman 1984 and Zombieland 2. And they are going to bring in Joaquin Dos Santos to make his directorial debut with this film, in which he has already worked at Nickelodeon with shows such as Legend of Korra and Avatar The Last Airbender, and even with the Voltron series. But that's not going to be the only movie that Sony is going to do. They are legit going to make a second Spider-Man cinematic universe, but this one is going to be animated, because another movie that they are going to be developing is an all-female animated Spider-Man movie. It's going to be a little bit similar to what we're getting with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, but it's going to be with all girls. So probably Gwen Stacy is going to be the star of all this, and they already have some people on board. They got Beck Smith, who has done some rewrite work for movies such as the Lego movies and Captain Marvel. And on top of that, they are currently in talks with Lauren Montgomery to be the director of this, in which she was a co-director of some of the direct-to-DVD DC animated films like Batman Year One and Superman and Batman Apocalypse. And so far, other than those people, they do have Amy Pascal immediately on board to be a producer, and right now they are in talks to possibly have some of the producers of Into the Spider-Verse as well to work on this. So they could be bringing in Avi Arad and also Christina Steinberg to be a producer, and also in talks to have Phil Lord and Chris Miller to be on board in some way in the creative department, or probably just as a producer. So that's currently what's going on at Sony. So they are planning to do a sequel and also an animated, an animated female spin-off of this Spider-Man movie. So, Logan, mind if I can ask your thoughts on this first?
So Sony's making a sequel out of their animated films? No, I'm kidding.
Put up the Pikachu meme. Like, put up that shocked Pikachu's like...
Shocker, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
No, when it comes to like Spider-Man himself, like I'm really big into like the Marvel stuff. I would say I'm not really into like, okay, let me put it this way. I love like the franchise, but I'm not really one to go in depth like when it comes like to the comics and all that stuff. I'll mainly like either play like the video games or watch the movies and all that stuff. So a casual
fan in a way.
A casual fan, yeah.
Okay.
And with Spider-Man, yeah, he's definitely like the Mickey Mouse of the Marvel franchise, because he's like the most well-known out of all of them. And I remember me and my brothers used to be like huge fans of Spider-Man, and to this day we are. When it comes to like the movies, I really do like the Sam Raimi trilogy, even though the third one was like, it still has some enjoyment stuff out of it.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate the Amazing Spider-Man films. I mean, nothing against like the people involved in that film, like, but it's just so.
It was crap. It was undeniably crap.
Exactly. I was like sitting there, like thinking to myself, like, oh my god, when will this end? Because nothing against like Andrew Garfield or anything like that, but he's like the worst Peter Parker I've ever seen like in media, because like he's just so. He's not only a jerk, but he's also so awkward to see on camera. Like, I know people say like his chemistry with Gwen Stacy is like cute and all, but it's just so cringeworthy to watch. Like, it's just basically them be like, yeah, yeah, you know, he's like, it's like, oh my god, just stop. Yeah. Tom Holland, absolute best Spider-Man so far. Like, he definitely nails like Pete Parker when it comes to like him and like his films and all that stuff. I absolutely love it. Venom, people really don't like that film that much, but for what it is, I got some enjoyment out of it. I mean, it's not. I certainly prefer this Venom over like the Venom from Spider-Man 3. That's definitely saying much. Yes. But and when it comes to like the animated Spider-Man film, it definitely looks pretty interesting to say the least. Like, this is definitely like Sony like being experimental with their films, because I don't think I've ever seen like anything like has like comic feel to it. So it definitely like adds like this unique charm to the film, and especially when they're going to bring like other Spider-Men to it, like Spider-Ham, Gwen Stacy, that weird anime chick. I don't know much about her, but still cool nonetheless. And Spider-Man Noir and all that stuff. Yeah. It's definitely looks. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Yeah, like I said, like it is definitely like, getting like positive reviews and all that stuff. So I'll definitely need to check it out.
Yeah. Like honestly, with the positive reviews and stuff like that, I am pretty optimistic to see how it's gonna go. But I will say right now, I do feel like the positive reactions right now, they like I'm not gonna lie, some of it is actually pretty overwhelming. I don't know about you, but I have seen some comments right there that I feel like they kind of exaggerate the way that they would express how good Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is. It's not to say that I don't think it's going to be amazing or anything, but it's just the
Eh,
way that people are expressing that this movie is like the greatest thing to ever happen in animation since Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It's like it
ooh.
just feels a bit much. So it's like I feel like at that point I just wanted to step back a bit and just have a little bit of a breather. You know, it's
Eh,
like that's why I feel like the positive reaction out of it just seems a bit overwhelming over a movie that has yet to be seen by the public. So for me, I
right.
want to keep an open mind. Like maybe the movie's gonna have flaws or anything like that, but like I just want to wait and see for myself. I don't want to buy too much into the hype just yet to say like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever and stuff like that. So
Right. I know what you
honestly,
mean. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I know what you mean because I know like a good example is like when they release like the reviews for like Ralph Breaks the Internet or Incredibles 2, they say like it's like really amazing and all that stuff. It's like really great film. But when I go and see it, it's good, but I don't think it's as good as people are making it out to be.
yeah, that is true. It's like, but that's the thing. This is early hype. You know, this is
Right.
before any like the reason why people are reacting to this or they're reacting this way is mainly because they haven't seen it. Like they haven't seen it yet. It's not until when we actually do see it, when it does officially come out in theaters, that's when we're going to see that maybe like if it is actually worth the hype or stuff like that. So honestly, it's just
Right.
like that is happening right now where people are like expressing a bit too much over something that they have yet to actually see.
Exactly. I know like some films like when they like release like early reviews of it, it will like go down eventually. Like good example with like Rotten Tomatoes. They can say it's like 100% right now, but once the movies are released, it'll probably drop down to like maybe like 90% or something like that.
90 or 95 or something like that, it will still get great reviews and stuff like that. But you know, but that's the thing, it's all early hype right now. It's not until 2 weeks till the movie's going to be coming out, so maybe the perspective is going to change. But if I may put in my comments onto what's going to be happening in the future, honestly, with those projects, considering the stuff that we have seen so far with the trailers and stuff like that, I guess I will keep myself in a bit of a wait and see attitude with the sequel. But I am definitely all forward with the all-female Spider-Man movie, which I just want to say right now before anybody would make some kind of crazy comment about it. Kind of like Miles Morales in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, this is not a concept that is invented by Sony Pictures for this movie in particular. This is actually something that actually did happen in the Marvel comics, where they would actually have some Spider-Women comics that would feature a bunch of different characters that have like spider powers that are also girls. Like, of course, Gwen Stacy would be prominent. There is the actual Spider Woman and another character called Silk that would also be involved. So I wouldn't be surprised with the one that Sony would want to develop. They would also bring in, like, of course, they're going to have like Gwen Stacy. That's not a surprise, but maybe they're going to bring on board Penny Parker, the anime girl, and we'll probably see a few other Spider Man characters. Like, we will see the Spider Woman and also Silk and stuff like that. And honestly, on that department, I feel like that would definitely bring in a brand new twist into the Spider-Man movies that we have so far. So that definitely does sound pretty intriguing. And honestly, in terms of these projects, I'm definitely all forward for Sony to actually do this because let's be honest, it's Sony. What the fridge else are they gonna do? So might as well go with something that would most likely work.
Yeah. And I'll just be here waiting for a Squirrel Girl movie. No, I'm actually am looking forward for the all female Spider-Man film because yeah, you definitely need like Gwen Stacy and all that stuff because I wasn't really into like the other different Spider-Mans in like different universe because I'm so used to like Peter Parker and all that stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
from what I've seen from like Miles and like Gwen Stacy and Spider-Ham, all that stuff, they have like their own very unique ways, like how to portray that version of Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like their
I
own
am
unique
very
personality as well.
exactly, yeah. So I am definitely all up for it. And plus, hey, it's a different Spider-Man. It's better off than like having like the same old tiresome story of like Peter Parker's origin story all over again. So it's definitely
Yeah.
unique to say the least.
Yeah, finally, for once, Ben Parker is gonna be spared.
Exactly. He
Yeah.
was briefly shoved to the side for Spider-Man Homecoming, but now this time I don't think there's going to be a mention. So I will say this:
No,
what's
no,
interesting
I
about
think he
oh
will be mentioned, but it's not gonna be something like they're gonna reuse that whole thing again. But
yeah,
unless
exactly.
they can actually do something good, I'm not necessarily fully against the idea of yeah, like I'm saying, I'm not against the idea of no longer using the whole backstory, because there are some ways that they can reinterpret it to make it good. Like a great, like one of the best examples, or probably the one of the, yeah, like easily one of the best interpretations that I've seen of Ben Parker is actually in one of the episodes of Spectacular Spider-Man. In fact, I would consider it one of the best episodes ever, and it's the show's interpretation of Spider-Man fighting against the symbiote that pretty much got in control of him. So he's trying to fight into that, and then you would also see flashbacks of like some of his moments in the past with him and Ben Parker, and telling him, you know, the old line of "with great power comes great responsibility." So there are like, unless you could find a very good way of bringing something new into that, honestly, maybe like just put it to the side a little bit.
Yeah, but knowing like fans, like hardcore fans, they won't be satisfied if they're going to make it like completely different or going to be the exact same. You got to be very cautious when doing something like that. Like how many times we see like the same old origins of Batman's backstory in like films and media. So it's like
Yeah.
you could make you know, like I say, you could make a good twist out of it, but it's got to be unique enough so that way it stands out better than what has been done before.
Or better yet, like how many times are you gonna blow up freaking Krypton? You know, I'm just asking.
Exactly. Yeah. I think we all get the point now. So,
Yeah,
but
we know
hey,
the superheroes. Let's just see them in action. But honestly, there is something that I would like to ask. Like, this is something that the chat wall is already going on to discuss about it. And honestly, it's something that even I've been long thinking about it. And it's actually regarding a little bit with the story right over here, with the fact that Sony is already taking a shot to go and make a sequel and also a spin-off, an all-female spin-off. It does seem like a massive risk of them to do so. The fact that the original movie has yet to fully be released nationwide and worldwide and all that kind of stuff, and we have yet to know if it's even going to be successful, because the question still remains. And some people might think that I'm insane or anything like that for saying this, but let's be honest. What if Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse flops? What if it doesn't make its money? Because if you can look at the movies that are coming afterwards, it's going to be some serious competition this holiday season. In fact, this is one of the most competitive holiday seasons that we will ever see in terms of movies, because the week after Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, or not even a week after, we're going to see some big movies that are going to make a lot of money at the box office, like Mary Poppins Returns and Aquaman. And they really are very similar to what Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse can offer. Like, oh, do you want to see a family film that has stunning visuals and great animation? Well, you can go and check out Mary Poppins Returns. Do you want to see a superhero movie that has a lot of crime-fighting action against popular bad guys and features a very prominent superhero? You can go and check out Aquaman. So that's kind of the big thing right now. It's just, is it too risky for Sony Pictures to go ahead and try to develop an entire franchise out of it, even though we don't even know if this movie in particular might even make its money? And also, one more thing that I would like to point out is that, yes, even though oh yeah, and some people are even pointing out Bumblebee as well. That's another movie, like the reboot of the whole Transformers franchise. That's going to be another one that's going to add in to the competition. And on top of that, like, I know a lot of people might point out, well, it's already getting amazing reviews. People are getting great early reactions out of it. From what I've been hearing, so is Aquaman, and so is Mary Poppins Returns. The early reaction on those films are going to be great. So really, like when we're going to see into the holiday season, is it really going to be enough for Sony to actually consider making more out of Spider-Man? Because let's be honest, despite the great reviews, even though it's already been getting great reviews and stuff like that, if it doesn't make its money, we're not going to be getting any of these. We're not going to get the sequel, and we're not going to get the all-female spinoff. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and also now you mention it, if this does happen, then it just showcases that Sony doesn't really learn their lesson because they try to make their own Spider-Man universe, like when with like the Amazing Spider-Man. But since the second film like underperformed the box office, they just scrapped all like the future plans for that, like the Sinister Six movie, the other Spider-Man films related to that universe. It's like it just seems like they're not like quite there, like learning their lesson from the past. So maybe this film could work well in the box office. Who knows? But yeah, it's going to be tough competing with like Aquaman and Mary Poppins. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
So
it's true. Like, even the early predictions that I've seen in terms of how it's going to go on its opening weekend, because let's be honest, the only time that this movie will ever have a chance to really make it big and to be prominent during the holiday season is just on its opening weekend alone. And even at that, some people are predicting that it could make around $30 million on the first 3 days, like on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And like, I've seen like a few different stuff. Like, some people say it can go as high as 40 or it can go as low as 20, but on average it's probably around $30 million. But even at that, with the movies that are going to be coming up, is it going to be enough for Spider-Man to stand on its own? Like, honestly, with all the hype that we've been hearing, I'm honestly kind of shocked that it's not going to make even more, that at least in terms of the opening weekend, it's not going to be bigger than even Hotel Transylvania 3, which opened with $44 million. That was honestly a bit of a shocker for me. But even at that, like, you also got to keep in mind, with the budget, it's a little bit bigger than some of the recent Sony films that we have gotten. It has a budget of $90 million, which could also hinder a little bit on how it's going to perform, or if Sony would even get a chance to see some profitability out of it.
and all I gotta say is they should have brought in Tom Holland. That would definitely make money. So,
Yeah.
but I guess like only time will tell with this point because it's coming out very soon. So it's going to be like a really busy month to see movies because there's going to be that Mary Poppins, Aquaman, Bumblebee. I could care less, but yeah.
Exactly. It is going to be a very busy season, and not many people, like, keep in mind, like, going to the movies nowadays is going to be a little bit more expensive. Now people might end up having a choice. You know, like, maybe they won't have a chance to actually see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, but instead they'll go and check out Mary Poppins and maybe consider seeing Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse later. And you never know if we could actually see franchise fatigue, because this year, in 2018 alone, we have seen a lot of Spider-Man. You got to keep in mind, like, we've seen the Tom Holland Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Avengers Infinity War. We got the really popular PS4 Spider-Man game. And also, it's only been 2 months. Like, we already have a Sony Spider-Man movie with Venom. So maybe, like, because of all the Spider-Man that we have gotten, maybe the general public might think that, you know, missing out on one Spider-Man is not going to be that much, because, like, they've already have experienced some critically praised Spider-Man stuff like Infinity War and the PS4 games. So honestly, you really said it best, Logan, that it really is something that we have to wait and see if it's going to be successful in the first place, which would lead us to having the possibility of getting like an all-female Spider-Man or even that sequel.
But hey, if it fails at the box office, Marvel can always, Sony can always like return the rights back to Marvel with all the female characters.
Oh yeah, so like, here, you can have the women. Here, you can have the women. Meanwhile, here, Jared Leto, can you help us with Morbius? That's the one thing.
Man.
That's the one thing that I always love to ask for people who love Venom is like, okay, so you enjoy Venom. Are you excited for Morbius? Are you excited to see Jared Leto playing as Morbius, the living vampire?
Yeah. I don't know. Which, speaking of Venom, Venom may have a connection with the animated Spider-Man film if he stayed after the credits of Venom. That's so puzzling to me.
I don't know. Oh God, it's just, I don't know. What do they really want to do that? It's just,
it's probably not for the best choice, honestly.
I don't know.
I mean, If Venom was originally meant to be an R-rated film, then there's like no way they're going to connect that with the animated film.
Yeah, and I remember there was a rumor that was spreading around once that they wanted to bring in Tom Holland. They wanted to bring in Tom Hardy to voice as Venom to make like a cameo or something, but Sony immediately denied it. So maybe it might not be a chance. But I did hear that there is going to be an end credit scene, but we'll just have to wait and see on that.
Yep. So in the end, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to for the projects if there are going to be coming in the future. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward. I mean, you can't go wrong with Spider-Man, even if he's like tap dancing while dressing all emo and stuff. Just saying.
I'm one of the few people that actually really like that scene. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I enjoy that too for what it is. It's silly, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the point, man. I mean, like, the whole Sam Raimi franchise, it's silly. I mean, it's not that out of place as you think.
Yeah, exactly. It's just what it is. So, I mean, Spider-Man, you're dealing with like a character whose powers is like web swinging and all that stuff. That's been by a radioactive spider. How can you take that seriously?
Exactly. And no, and especially like in a movie franchise where we had freaking Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's the thing. But yeah, my thoughts are honestly very similar to yours. Honestly, I am honestly very optimistic if Sony does go ahead with the all-female Spider-Man and the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse. I think it would be a great idea for Sony to actually go and actually make that. But I feel like we would have to wait and see first if this movie, if like the first movie is even going to be a hit, if it's even going to withstand against Mary Poppins Returns and Aquaman. So honestly, we just gotta wait and see on that.
Agreed.
Okay, so with that said though, I want to go into the chat wall and I would like to know from you guys, what do you think about the animated sequels and spin-offs that we could be getting from Sony Pictures? What are your thoughts on these Spider-Man movies? Are you guys excited for it? Are you guys a little bit unsure? Do you think that it could even happen? Let me know what you think right over here. Let's see. I'm worried about the all-female Spider-Man movie because of the way of the feminism diversity is being marketed nowadays. It might cause a box office flop just like the Ghostbusters 2016 and Ocean's 8. Considering that we are dealing with Sony Pictures here, you're not wrong. And that's one thing that we should be worried about.
That was a mess back then.
God.
So hopefully Sony will learn their lesson from Ghostbusters. I'm hoping.
Yeah, same here. I'm definitely hoping as well that they don't. Seriously, like just, keep it on the low brow that you got women here. Don't piss off the fans. Just don't make a mess out of it because Jesus balls, my God, the Ghostbusters thing, say what you will about the movie, but the marketing on that is like one of the worst in history. Let's see now. I'm looking forward for the Spider-Verse sequel and the all-female Spider-Women movie, but I'm still worried that Sony would keep the Spider-Man rights for a while, like we won't see Spider-Man in future Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. That could be a possibility as well. There could be a chance. I mean, like, so far they only agreed on just, like, technically from what I remember with Tom Holland's agreement, he agreed on making a total of 6 Marvel movies. And we have already gotten stuff like Civil War, we got Homecoming, we got Infinity War. I guess like we'll have just one more Avengers movie and the 2 other Spider-Man films, and maybe that could be it. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that. Let's see now. I'm excited to see this movie, but I hope it doesn't flop. I like to see movies of the spin-off of a sequel. I hope it could get some huge legs like Jumanji 2 and The Greatest Showman. That could be true. I mean, like, it is possible that we could see several movies be a major hit, like what we saw in the last holiday season where The Last Jedi became one of the biggest hits ever, and then suddenly, like, right out of the blue, we got the Jumanji spin-off that really became a massive hit, so that could be also a big chance as well. Alright, so I think with that said, though, I think with that, we're going to go and move on to our next story right over here. And we're going to leave Spider-Man on the side and wait until the movie comes out. So, Logan, may I ask you, do you like Roald Dahl?
I like some of his works, yes. I mean, you can't go wrong with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Matilda, the BFG. Did he also write Fantastic Mr. Fox?
Yes, he did. That was him.
Yes. Yes, you can't. Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with any of those stories.
Yeah, exactly. So, with that said, I believe Netflix actually does agree with you, and they really want to go massive with Roald Dahl stuff. So, what I'm talking about, of course, is going to be that Netflix is going to be collaborating with the Roald Dahl Story Company and Roald Dahl's personal family in order to create a whole bunch of animated specials and animated miniseries based on some of Roald Dahl's works. And these would include Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the BFG, Matilda, the Twits, George's Marvelous Medicine, and so much more. And to read a bit of a quote here from using my source in the Hollywood Reporter from Melissa Cobb, the VP of Kids and Family Content at Netflix, she has stated in this, immersing ourselves in extraordinary worlds of Roald Dahl stories has been an honor and a massive amount of fun, and we are grateful for the trust of the Roald Dahl Story Company and the Dahl family have placed in our team to deliver more moments of shared joy to families around the world. We have great creative ambition to reimagine the journeys of so many treasured doll characters in fresh, contemporary ways with the highest quality animation and production values. And on top of that, we even got a quote from the widow of Roald Dahl himself, Felicity, as she states here, our mission, which is purposefully lofty, is for as many children as possible around the world to experience the unique magic and positive message of Roald Dahl's stories. This partnership with Netflix marks a significant move towards making that possible and is an incredibly exciting new chapter for Roald Dahl Story Company. Roald would, I know, be thrilled. So, with that said, now that we are going to get a whole bunch of animated Roald Dahl projects, Logan, what do you think of this?
I gotta say, it's pretty interesting where they're going with this because I will admit I never like really get a chance to like read any of the books, but I do remember like watching like the films that are based off them, like James and Giant Peach. I remember like watching that a lot as a kid, and I do find enjoyment out of it. Matilda, I seen it like once or twice, but I remember like a few things from it now, but I don't think I really like it as much as like other people do. I just find it to be a little bit too mean spirited for my taste. Like I don't know. It just seemed like the principal was too harsh. Matilda's parents are like, all like crappy and all that stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's still good for what I remember it. Charlie and Chocolate Factory or Willy Wonka and Chocolate Factory, whatever. Perfect film. I really remember watching now recently. I forgot how funny that film was. Like you think like it's all like charm and whimsical, all that stuff, but really they have some like really like dark sense of humor if you watch like some of it. Like the way that Willy Wonka comments on like how like Augusta Gloop goes up through that like chute
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
Oh, this is terrible. I hope it'll last.
I know, right? It has like a real and plus let's not forget about that tunnel scene, which looking at back now is
Oh,
like
God, yeah.
what was the mindset? Was that in the book?
I don't even remember. I think, but probably not as messed up as this. And
Oh man, it's
yeah,
like
but honestly, the comedy, it really, like, the credit really does have to go to Gene Wilder because, like, the
exactly.
man is definitely a comedic genius, and you can definitely see how he implemented a lot of that. And even the way, like, how he wanted to get into the movie, like, is actually pretty hilarious in itself, where it's like, Mr. Wilder, we would like you to be Willy Wonka for our movie. Okay, but only if I come in doing a somersault. I want to have a scene where I come in and do my somersault. All right, fine. Woohoo!
What a bizarre way to get into a film.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah.
But
But
honestly,
yeah, as I,
you know, when you think about it, it really does set the tone of what would be to come in the Chocolate Factory.
exactly, yeah. I mean, it definitely like has like its own like whim and all, and the songs are really great. I
Oh, yeah.
absolutely love that film. The remake, however, I like it for what it is, but it's just not as good as like the original. Like, I will say this about like Tim Burton's version: it's like it's physically appealing to look at,
Oh, yeah. Like,
but
it's a visual marvel. It's just the way that it's executed. It's just, you know, honestly, you know, the weirdest thing about it, like, the more I think about it, I think the problem is just that it was too Burton-y. Like, it was too,
Hmm.
there's too much Tim Burton, especially like with Johnny Depp doing his own weird shtick. And honestly, the way that they like the backstory, honestly, it wasn't worth it. It's just not all
Yeah.
that great.
I mean, I get why they wanted to like do this so that it can be like more of his own thing compared to like the original, but it just seems like the way it was executed, it was like, eh. But I still find enjoyment out of them. I mean,
Yeah,
I'll watch it here and
it's not
there.
the worst, but I mean, it's something. And even with me, I'm actually one of those kids that grew up watching Charlie and the Chocolate Factory all the time. Like, I love that movie. It was definitely a lot of fun. And oh my god, I'm already seeing in the chat wall a lot of people are bringing up the Tom and Jerry version. Have you seen that one?
I have seen it, and man, was that a regret.
Yeah, that
I, I,
was.
I will say this: I like it for like the animation. I mean, I like some parts of the animation and like the few renditions of like the original classic songs, but it's like you can tell like this feels like somebody's fanfic project, like a self-insert fan fiction, which I feel like the only one that I feel like does a great job with that is Kingdom Hearts, and that's basically it from my knowledge. You know, like these
Yeah.
self-insert like these like worlds and all that stuff,
Yeah,
but
it feels like a story that they pulled out of freaking DeviantArt, like one of those Pooh's Grand Adventures.
oh geez. But yeah, that was a thing. But I
Yeah.
will say this: Fantastic Mr. Fox. That's like one of my personal favorite non-Disney animated films out there because I especially love like the animation they use, like the unique stop motion, all that stuff, and like it's weird, bizarre humor that I don't even know how to describe it. It's like they're so like toned down and it's like so like
It's
chill about
very,
it,
yeah,
and it's
it's
like
very unique, honestly. Like, I remember when I first saw it, like, I saw that it was a good movie, but it was definitely weird. But eventually, by time, I've grown to understand the filmmaking style of Wes Anderson, and I've grown to really love it. And yeah, I do agree right now that, like, it's definitely one of the best stop motion films out there. And honestly, you know what's very interesting? The way that we are talking about this is the fact that, you know, Netflix is really onto something, and they're actually doing something that we have yet to really see, and that is a whole bunch more animated projects for Roald Dahl. Because when you think of his stories, you'd think that they would be perfect to develop animated projects with, to make animated features, to make animated TV shows, but the grand majority of adaptations are live action. Even stuff like James and the Giant Peach, where there are some animated moments, a lot of it is just live action. So I'm honestly surprised that not many people really capitalize on it. And especially, one factor about animation that really is unique is the fact that there is, like, among all the films that have been adapted into a Roald Dahl story, like, during the time he was alive, there has only been one that he legitimately enjoyed, that he did not think it was bad at all, and that is the animated BFG. That was the only
right.
one that he saw it. Like, Willy Wonka, that thing could go eat a dick. Matilda, that can eat a dick as well. Actually, I shouldn't say that because that's a little girl. That thing can just screw off. But BFG, that's the thing he was like, I like this. I like this project. I want more of that. So that's the thing, is just, why not actually make more animated Roald Dahl stories? Because let's be honest, nowadays, the live action Roald Dahl stories, they really are lacking. Not just with the Tim Burton Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie, but also with the BFG. Have you seen the Steven Spielberg BFG?
I wanted to check it out, but I haven't got a chance to do so. But after like seeing like the reviews and all that stuff, it seems like it like in the middle of like okay, I guess.
You
But
know, honestly, it's visually stunning. Like, it has beautiful visuals. But I just gotta say, the BFG himself, he's not like a whimsical, likable guy. He's a stoner. Like, throughout the whole thing, he's legitimately just like, just make sure you don't mess up the. Those are my things. Those are the things I need to make the dreams. It's like, he's a freaking stoner, and
oh my
oh
god.
my, no, if you think that's bad, oh god. What's even, I think the worst thing is honestly the villains. Like, you know, the other giants, because in
Hmm.
the animated film, in the animated movie, they actually did a really good job portraying them as, like, yeah, they're stupider, but they have the mindset of a beast. So that's what makes them more like monsters. In the Steven Spielberg film, however, yeah, they're dumber, but it's in a way that you feel sorry for them. It's like they're dumb in the sense that they're special. I think that's the only
Aw.
way that I can say that without getting in trouble. It's that, yeah, they are, it's like, they just do things because they don't necessarily know any better. It's just, yeah, it's just uncomfortable to watch.
I can only imagine. Now you made me sad after hearing that.
Yeah, that's how you feel when you see those people.
uh, but yeah,
even,
going back
even
to
the way
like
that they talk as well, it sounds it's just like that's not, I don't know if this is okay.
right. But yeah, going back what you said, yeah, it would be interesting to see more of like his stories turn to like animation. Like, do you know if they say this is going to be like hand drawn or computer animated or?
No, there is no confirmation on that. Just looking more into it. Hold on a sec. There is no confirmation on the medium specifically that they're going to do. They did state that they're going to start production sometime in 2019. No release date has been set, so we just have to wait and see. Maybe they're going to do hand-drawn. Maybe it would be computer animated. Like, actually, I do recall recently that I did see a computer animated project. It was like a two-parter computer animated special. I think the first part actually got nominated recently for an Oscar for it. And it's like a twist on fairy tales. Maybe if you guys in the chat wall, if you know what I'm talking about, then you know what the short is. It's based on a Roald Dahl story that's kind of like this twist on fairy tales where like Little Red Riding Hood would fight back, and she would legit kill off some of the wolves, and like the one remaining wolf who was the grandma, she wants to fight back. So that was honestly really interesting. It's like it's the closest thing to Roald Dahl's Shrek. But
Oh,
revolting
jeez.
rhymes. That was it. Thank you, Leslie. Okay, yeah. So it was revolting rhymes, and it's honestly a great parody of fairy tales. And honestly, it really is worth watching. And even the computer animation is not that bad, and it even stays true to the style of some of the illustrations that we've seen in Roald Dahl books.
That's cool. Yeah. So I mean, I'm good with any like animation style for his works. Like, I'll be like interested no matter what. But the thing is, like you said, it's on Netflix, so I don't really use Netflix a whole lot often. I mean, I don't rarely use it, so I don't know if I'll be able to get a chance to do so or not. So then again, I don't really watch a whole lot of TV now because of my busy schedule with like other things. So it's like it's hard for me to keep track. At most, I might just like watch it on the side while I'm working on like projects, just to keep so I can like multitask. So maybe in the future I might try Netflix. So it will be interesting to check out. And plus, yeah, I know like I mean, it would be interesting like more of his like other like not well known books to be adapted, so that way like future generations like know like his other works.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be interesting to see like more like a new adaptation of like Matilda or heck maybe we can get like a follow up to like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with the glass elevator. Like I don't think nobody has yet to make like an adaptation of that, from my knowledge.
It actually did state here in my source that they are indeed looking into that. That one of the stuff that they are going to do is Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator. So probably that could be one that's going to be more of a mini series. That they're going to do some of the stories for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and then they're going to continue on with the Great Glass Elevator.
See, I'll be looking forward to that because yeah, that would be interesting to like see what goes on after the original book because like I said, I haven't like got a chance to like read any of the books. I just know from their film adaptations. So
Mm-hmm.
would be interesting to say at least. And who knows, maybe like can be like I'm not sure if it's going to be as great as the original films, but only time will tell, I suppose.
Yeah, time will tell, but I am definitely open to see new adaptations of many of these stories. Like, I think Matilda is definitely due for one, and
Hmm.
if they are going to redo the BFG just to erase a bit of the memory of the Steven Spielberg film, then yeah, I'm definitely all welcome for that. But yeah, honestly, overall, I'm definitely all forward with what Netflix is doing. I definitely think animation is definitely a great medium to tell some of Roald Dahl's stories. And again, I'm surprised nobody has yet to fully capitalize on that. So honestly, good on them to really move forward with this. And especially with how they did have the blessing of Roald Dahl's family and even the company that is working on the Roald Dahl stories. I think it definitely does show a positive sign that that these projects could stay true to the spirit of these stories at the very least.
And who knows if it goes so well, maybe we can get like a cinematic universe out of them.
Oh my god.
Probably
The Roald Dahl cinematic universe.
not.
Oh my god. The only thing
yeah.
that I'm seeing right now is just Gene Wilder confronting Roald Dahl, and just Roald Dahl just looking at Gene Wilder saying, "You know, Mr. Wilder, you should have aimed for the head." No!
Oh, I'll definitely pay money for that.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall right over here, and I would like to know from you guys, what do you think of these new adaptations of the Roald Dahl stories? Are you guys excited for them? Do you want to see Netflix make a lot more of them? Are you guys a little bit concerned? I would like to know, what do you think about these Roald Dahl stories? So just let me know in the chat wall. All right. Okay, there we go. Some of them are bouncing up. I wonder what animated versions... Oh, what an animated version of Vicar the Nibbleswick, one of the Dahl books released after his death, would look like, since it's a book that contains accidental swear words. Maybe they could go into that. Let's see. Not to mention... Oh, now that mentioning Fantastic Mr. Fox and the fact that it's in the Criterion Collection, what are your thoughts on Armageddon? The fact that Armageddon is in the... Oh, well, that's a bit unrelated. Okay, let's see. Do we have any more? Matilda is one of my favorite movies of all time. I can't wait to see it in animated form. Okay. I guess we don't... Wow, I'm honestly surprised not many people have much to say about this. Alright, so, I hope this is fun and more faithful. Let's hope it doesn't end up being bad. I've been reading Roald Dahl books lately, so... Definitely, it shows that people who grew up with Roald Dahl, they're going to be definitely interested in checking this one out. I look forward to watching them. It will be interesting to see them in animated forms, even if I've only experienced one of Roald Dahl's stories. I'm definitely going to check it out when it does come out. I love a lot of Dahl's works, and seeing them as a Netflix series would be very interesting. Alright, so I think with that said, we can go ahead and move on to our next story, in which we will go and discuss about a subject that everybody seems to adore right now, Disney live-action remakes. And even, the funny thing this week is that, yeah, like, now the hate has gone pretty strong, especially the fact that just recently both I Hate Everything and Saber Sparks actually just released a video talking about their distaste for the Disney live-action remakes. However, in this one right over here, it does seem like a pretty interesting idea. I don't know, it's just, with the way that they're approaching with this one in particular, this might have a little bit of promise. And what I'm talking, of course, is going to be about Pinocchio. Disney right now is currently in talks with Tom Hanks so that he could possibly play as Geppetto for their upcoming live-action remake of Pinocchio. So far, the only thing that we know about it is just that there is one person who is definitely involved with the project, and that is actually Paul King is going to be the director of this movie. And you may remember Paul King as the director of the Paddington movies, which are highly acclaimed, and even Paddington 2 is like one of the most highly praised movies on Rotten Tomatoes right now, or even one of the most highly praised movies ever. So that's pretty much the big thing, and probably the only thing that I can report on this is the possibility that Tom Hanks could be Geppetto in this live-action adaptation of Pinocchio. So, Logan, what are your thoughts on this one?
Geppetto, more like Geppetto. Oh no, they didn't. No, I'm kidding. Honestly, when it comes to like Pinocchio, like the animated film itself, it's one of my all-time favorite Disney films, like period, because everything about that film works, and I don't think nothing can really like capture that with like anything else, because the way like the filming structure is like, you got to think about it. This is like made back in the 40s, where it's like there's like no computers, nothing like that. Everything you've seen for the most part is hand drawn. Like
Mm-hmm.
people may not like reckon. I mean, like a casual audience member may not look at it this way, but the monstro scene in particular is like, you got to think all the man hours I work on it just to like draw like every frame of the waves in that scene. Like
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine like the struggle, like all that stuff. And there's another scene in particular that's like, you know, the scene where it's like Pinocchio is taken away from Stromboli and he's taken in the little cage and
Oh,
he's
the
trying to call
cage.
for,
Oh my God. That
yeah, like
one was
people,
intense.
right? Like people that may not like think about it, but I heard like I was listening to like the commentary of the film. Was like that was like the like most nightmare scene to work on, because you got to deal with like Pinocchio working with the cage as like wobbling back and forth. It's like I gotta give them massive props for that.
Yeah, like
And
when you think about the scene, you really got to think three-dimensionally with the way that not just with how Pinocchio would wobble, but also the whole cabin itself, how it moves, and even all the puppets and the dolls that are just hanged up there. So yeah, there's a lot to consider in that scene. It is absolutely insane to pull off, but Disney managed to pull it off beautifully.
and especially for like their second animated film, it's like they definitely like nail it good. And it's not just the animation. I also like the characters, the story, plot elements, and all that stuff. And let us not forget Pleasure Island. Let
Well,
us not forget
dude, the songs though. I mean,
the songs. Yeah,
this is the movie that originates When You Wish Upon a Star. I mean, I think that's
exactly.
really important to point out about Pinocchio.
Yeah, that's like the main staple of Disney. And yeah, that was a movie that introduced that wonderful song, and I absolutely love it for it. And then going to the remake, I
Oh dear.
don't know. I don't know. This whole thing about the Disney remakes, I'm rather mixed about it, because, on one hand, it will be interesting to see like a new take of these beloved characters, but for the most part, they just don't get the. They don't do a great job with it. Like, I will say this: the Jungle Book, I really love. I feel like it stands out. I mean, I love how different it is from the original, but also stay true to the spirit,
Mm-hmm.
and I absolutely love it. Maleficent was an insult.
Yeah.
Cinderella's forgettable. What else? I know, and
Well,
the,
technically, does Alice in Wonderland would count?
people say that, but I see that's more of its own thing, because it doesn't really borrow much from the original animated film.
I
But
guess.
if we do count that, then that one's like, eh. Like I haven't seen a sequel, but I heard
Oh,
that was
it's
pretty
worse. It's bad. It's
bad.
bad.
I believe you.
All the madness for a freaking cookie. That's literally the whole story. It's all for a freaking cookie.
No comment on that.
Yeah, that's how her head
But
got big as well.
oh jeez. I mean, I'm not surprised Wonderland at all, but I don't know. And oh my god, Beauty and the Beast. That
Oh god,
one,
yeah.
I'll be honest, I was really looking forward to that one, because I thought it was going to be like they'll add things to it. But in the end, no, no.
No.
And the reason I'm upset about this is because I'm a like you, Matt. I'm a huge Disney fan. Like I absolutely adore the company. Like I basically mostly grew up with like all the Disney films. I love going to the theme parks. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, for lack of a bad word, it's magic, and I just don't want to see Disney like taking like these old properties and make it like less magic. Because if you watch these films, they try to be like all like more serious with them, with like not as colorful. It's like more dark and gray, and the characters like so bland and all that stuff. And it's like it hurts to see these films like be more like these forgettable things. And going, but anyways, that's a side point. When it comes to like the Pinocchio remake, I will say it is going to be. I want to see how they're going to like turn this one out, because maybe they could be more based off the book itself, rather than like it can be like
Oh
both the
boy.
film and the book. Because
Yeah. Well, kind of like
if
what
you
they
know
did with Jungle Book.
exactly, yeah, and if you guys know about the original story of Pinocchio,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll say that much. So it will be. I mean, I'm sure they won't take that route, but you may never know. And plus, I do like the director they got for this film, because
Mm-hmm.
while I haven't seen like Paddington, I heard that's like a really sweet, charming film that
Hmm.
I feel I will trust this guy in directing this film. And as for Tom Hanks, I think he might pull it off fine. I mean, he is a really great actor. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
even if he appears in like a bad film, he still does a great job with his performance.
Yeah,
So,
that is true. And honestly, the one thing that I thought about regarding Tom Hanks's role on this is that I really am pretty optimistic if they do bring him on board, because the big thing with Tom Hanks is that yeah, like he's a great actor and he can pull off a great performance no matter what. But one thing that I really am happy about is that when you think about it, Tom Hanks kind of does look like Geppetto. Don't you think?
in a sense, yeah, I was just like thinking about that. It's like, yeah, he definitely. I mean, if you give him like a mustache, and
Yeah,
it's
you give him
like,
the mustache, you give him the white, like the big white hair. Like there could be some legit resemblance.
exactly, yeah. I mean, he can be like, give him like the Walt Disney look, like he did in Saving Mr. Banks. Just like
Uh, he needs a bigger
maybe, I don't know.
mustache than that. But
Oh yeah,
honestly, I just feel excited. Honestly, for me, I just feel excited about that because with Tom Hanks, he actually like it's pretty rare to give Tom Hanks a role where he would legit look the part. He can act a part, but it's rare that he would actually look like him. Like he doesn't look like freaking Walt Disney. He does
oh
like he
no.
barely even looks like Mr. Rogers. And I
Uh,
doubt that he looks like Captain Phillips or anybody that he tried to adapt. But Geppetto, he might have a chance. Like I can see the similarities.
right. I mean, he could pull off just fine. So yeah, I'm definitely am looking forward to that part if he gets a role. So
Yeah. Although the one thing I will say that's gonna be weird is how he's gonna try to pull off a fake Italian accent. Like, I shall call you Pinocchio.
oh yeah, I didn't think about that part. I mean, he could pull it off, but I don't recall if he ever did like Italian accent before. Has he?
I
Not from
don't.
my
I don't
knowledge.
think. I don't remember. Like. I think there was at one point he pulled off like a Russian accent, maybe, but I don't know. It's hard to really think about a movie in which Tom Hanks would have like an actual accent. I'm sure he has done some, but I don't know. It's hard to really
Hmm.
think about. But oh my god, I just realized a major joke. Like it has to be done. Like someone's got to do it eventually. If Tom Hanks does get the role of Geppetto, he's gonna see Pinocchio come to life. He's like, Pinocchio, you are alive, but you are a toy.
If they did that, I'll give Disney lots of credit for
Oh my
it.
god, yeah. It has to be done. I know the
It
joke
has
may
to,
be
yeah.
obvious, but it has to be done.
Oh, that's great. I love it.
Oh yeah, for me, but yeah, like for me, I feel the same way as you. Like I have some very mixed reactions with the Disney remakes, and I do have a lot of similar thoughts with you. Like I love, like the Jungle Book was great and undeniably the best Disney live action remake they've done so far. Like Maleficent was crap. Pete Dragon was like forgettable. It's like it's okay, but it's like it's hard to really remember anything. It played way too safe. What else was
Mhm.
there? Oh,
Cinderella.
Yeah, Cinderella, I don't mind that much. That was okay. Like for me, it was fine. It was all right. It was harmless. And then like you got Beauty and the Beast. Oh god, like there are some things I do like about it. Like some of the songs are good. It's just that the visuals look like crap. And I'm sorry, but let's be honest. Like this is not Belle. This is more accurate
No.
if this is a Five Nights at Freddy's animatronic. It certainly
Exactly.
sounds
Yeah.
like it as well.
I feel like because I hear like news about like Disney making like a Beauty and the Beast ride for Tokyo Disneyland. I was like thinking like if the Belle animatronic like somehow escaped and end up being in this movie. Like I
Oh
wouldn't
my
be
god.
surprised. I mean, no against for Emma or anything, but it's like
Watson, I think.
yeah, Emma Watson, yeah. And it's like I don't know, but going with these newer ones, like I will give Dumbo credit that it is going to be different enough that I'll like stand out for its own. Aladdin, really not looking forward to, and The Lion King, I, I,
The
I'll give
Lion
it. I
King, they
mean,
need to prove the thing is with The Lion King is that it needs to prove itself more. It pretty much has the same problems as Toy Story 4. It needs to show what can it offer that we haven't already gotten. That's the thing.
exactly,
For
and that's how
me,
I
The
feel.
Lion King is a wait and see.
Right. And that's how I feel about like Pinocchio is like there's like so many like opportunities to like make this one like stand out more because this isn't like the first time Disney has made like a live action Pinocchio film. I don't know if you remember like the one from like the 80s, like from like Wonderful World of Disney called Geppetto with Drew
Yep, I
Carey.
was actually gonna bring that up because there was a moment and it had freaking Drew Carey as godforsaken Geppetto, and yeah, it looks exactly like what you'd think. Like we got Drew Carey as Geppetto, and even Julia Louis-Dreyfus as the Blue Fairy. And I think it
Hmm.
actually, and on top of that, I believe it also has an entire soundtrack from Stefan Schwartz, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen the film itself. I remember like watching like somebody review it online. I think it was like Musical Hell that did a review on that. And from what I've seen, from like a TV movie, it looks all right, but it's nothing I'll like watch in the future. I mean, it's
Okay.
interesting to like see that it exists, but it's like it's one of those like oh that was a thing. That's all right, I guess. Right.
I guess it's like the strange, like nowadays, it's just the strange novelty of seeing Drew Carey as godforsaken Geppetto, and even got the girl, like I believe, yeah, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. That's the girl from Seinfeld, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, like yeah,
Elaine.
the girl from Seinfeld is the godforsaken Blue Fairy.
Wait, that reminds me. If Tom Hanks doesn't accept the role of Geppetto, will they get Drew Carey to reprise the role as Geppetto?
That is true. You know, that's not a crazy idea considering that. Have you seen Drew Carey nowadays, like with the prices right and stuff like that?
I have
He
not.
has definitely changed, and he looks a bit Geppetto-ish.
Ah, yeah,
Yeah,
I
hold
haven't seen
on.
like any really.
Actually, let me just check. Drew Carey 20. Whoops. Drew Carey 2018, but yeah, he does. You know, like he has shrunk. I think is the best way to put it. Like he lost a lot of weight, and yeah, like you do see a lot more of his facial, like more of his bone structure actually, and it doesn't
Ah,
look far off from Geppetto. He, like, if they bring him in, it's not that bad of an idea.
it'll be like a nice, odd callback to that one TV movie. How weird.
Yeah, really. Oh my god, and
But
try to bring in the whole Seinfeld cast to play as like miscellaneous characters
oh
in
my god,
Pinocchio.
yeah, maybe like have like Jerry Seinfeld as like the ringleader, the coachman. Sorry.
As the coach. No, the oh my no. Oh wait. No. That role has to be given to that has to be Jason Alexander.
Oh my god, yes. Yeah, yeah, that would be so misleading, miscast, but yet it'll work somehow.
Jerry, you can't do this, man. We're bringing the kids to Pleasure Island and nothing more. Don't worry,
but yeah,
Jerry. They'll never be back as boys.
oh my god, that would be it'll be unique to say the least. But yeah, going back to Tom Hanks as Geppetto, if he does get the role, then yeah, I can definitely see him like maybe pulling off all right because, like I said, Tom Hanks he is a really good actor.
Mm-hmm.
So so I would be interested to see his take on Geppetto, and
Yeah. Yeah.
but I guess like well,
Go on. Go on.
I don't know, I was gonna say like we'll just see like because he's like the only like other like only person that's been like announced so far when it comes to casting, right?
Yeah, that well, yeah, and even at that, it's just in talks. We don't even have like a full on release date for it yet.
Right. It's still like in the early work, so it's understandable at this point. But yeah, overall, the way I see it is like I love Pinocchio. I'm alright with like many different adaptations of Pinocchio. Like you mentioned before about like that new stop motion film coming out. I'm really
Oh
interested.
yeah, the Guillermo del Toro one, of
Yeah, I'm
course.
definitely interested to see how that one would turn out. But as for like when it comes to like Disney's Pinocchio, I don't know. I mean, I could get some like charm out of like the little Easter eggs they'll pull in from like the original, but in the end, I feel like it's gonna be forgettable like the other live action remakes. But this could prove me wrong. I'm still having high hopes for this one because it has some like pretty interesting people attached to this project. So I'm just hoping for the best. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, for me, like with the whole Pinocchio project, I would have to say it's the one that I'm probably looking forward to the most in terms of these remakes. It's the one that does seem to have the most promise, especially with having Paul King as a director and maybe having Tom Hanks in it. It does seem like it could have some promise right there. It puts me a little bit more optimistic than some of the ones like that they got coming up, like Mulan or Maleficent 2, or even like some of the ones coming next year. So I don't know. For me, like I'll be a bit optimistic, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, same here. That's
Yeah.
all I gotta say at this point. It's not gonna stop anytime soon with these remakes. So, but hey, I will say this: I'd much rather have this than the direct-to-DVD sequel era.
Oh, definitely. Oh God. And they were about to make a Pinocchio too. That's the scary
Yeah.
thing. Oh God. But yeah, now I would like to know into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you guys, what do you think about the idea of bringing in Tom Hanks as Geppetto? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it can work out? Do you think this Pinocchio remake might actually turn out to be good? Is it gonna suck like most of the others? Let me know what you think in the chat wall right over here, guys. Okay. I think oh, wait a minute. Actually, let's try out this one. Uh, right here. I feel that a live-action Pinocchio remake is pushing this trend way too far. This is sacred territory for Disney, and even with a great director like Paul King, it's going to be a major disservice to Walt's legacy. I'll pass on this and instead put my money towards Guillermo del Toro's stop-motion adaptation. Interesting.
But then again, this is Hollywood, so it's like they can like take any of their franchise and like reboot them. So it's like it's not surprising anymore at this point.
Yeah, nothing is sacrilegious at this point, so I think the reason why Disney is making so many of these live-action remakes is because they are forced to do so. They've been meddling with the public domain using the Mickey Mouse Protection Act since 1998. They seem to be having trouble accepting original ideas from movies or adaptations of untouched fairy tales. It looks like they got only three options: make a live-action remake of their animated classics, make sequels to whatever movie they have, or buy as many companies as they can, like Marvel. I guess that he means more the live-action division of Disney right there.
Well, here's the thing: Disney is still making original live action films. It's just that people just don't care about them.
It's true. I mean, like, a lot of their original works, they actually turn out to be major box office bombs. Case in point, you'll look at stuff like Tomorrowland, even though it's based on, like, Tomorrowland.
Right.
But, like, some more recent examples, you look at A Wrinkle in Time. That actually flopped hard.
Yeah, I just feel bad for that division of Disney, but what can you do?
Yeah, true. Let's see. I think the news is okay, but why would I care at this point? Because I'm starting to grow more tired with Disney doing remakes. The only thing I would care is the Mulan remake. See Guillermo del Toro's version of doing his own Pinocchio on Netflix, and see if Disney does a live-action remake of Atlantis, because this one I feel would make this movie a proper one. That's all I would care at this point, and see if Disney didn't screw up the Aladdin remake too. So yeah, a lot more, like, even though it has Paul King, a lot more people seem to be more interested in the stop-motion musical by Guillermo del Toro at this point. So that's not necessarily surprising, though. Even I'm excited for that. All right, so I think with all that said, though, we're pretty much good with this one. So now it is time that we shall go into the grand finale. And with this one, it's going to be a bonus miscellaneous. So we're going to step aside from animation and enter, we're going to be sticking into Disney, but we're going to enter into a whole bunch of madness. Now, even though this is happening like halfway around the world, it's a good thing that you did mention, Logan, that you are a fan of the Disney parks as well, because it is a little bit related to theme parks. And this is honestly pretty crazy to talk about, considering that this is the first time that we are seeing some negative consequences with the Disney and Fox deal. And what I'm talking about is that Disney and Fox are getting sued for $1.75 billion over a Malaysian theme park. So what the fridge is going on? Well, at that point, I'm going to read a little bit from my source here in the Hollywood Reporter, as it states, according to a complaint filed on Monday in California federal court in, the company Genting Malaysia Berhad signed its license deal with Fox in 2013. Excuse me. The plaintiff noted that unlike Disney or Universal, Fox had no experience in the theme park business until Gen M came forward with an opportunity to create the world's first Fox branded theme park called Fox World, or 20th Century Fox World. So basically the deal was to provide Fox an annual license fee and a cut of retail sales, with Fox also receiving various approval rights over the design of the parks, which would be the centerpiece to a resort complex that includes a casino. And with this theme park, it's basically like Universal or Disney, where basically you think about all the Fox properties and they would make rides based on that. And in here, for example, they would actually make rides based on stuff like they would do Ice Age rides, they would make Rio rides, they would make Planet of the Apes rides, and so much more. So they would do stuff like that. However, the problem here is actually the fact that what Fox tried to do is that they wanted to get a bigger piece of the pie. They wanted to try to get a better deal, and they had some very aggressive approach from it. In fact, from Gen M, we actually got a quote stating that, why would Fox Entertainment Group behave this way? Initially, because Fox wanted to use its leverage under the Memorandum of Agreement to threaten termination and force a renegotiation of the economic terms of what it viewed as a below-market deal, largely due to its failure to negotiate for a share of gate sales. And on top of that, if that wasn't bad enough, then we bring in Disney into the news, where when Disney came in and they decided to go and buy Fox and stuff like that, they saw what was happening with this Malaysian park, and they wanted to completely back out. They want nothing to do with it, mainly because of the fact that it has a casino, and Disney wants nothing to do with gambling or anything like that, so they really wanted to back away from this deal. And on top of that, it says here that the plaintiffs, represented by a Kasowitz-Benson team led by John Berlinski, says that seller's remorse is not a valid ground of terminating an agreement, and is now seeking to recoup the $750 million investment in the park. Plus, it is demanding more than $1 billion in consequential and pundit damage. But both Disney and Fox are fighting back. They have stated here that this lawsuit is entirely without merit. As the complaint itself makes clear, Genting has been failing to meet the agreed on deadlines for several years, long before the 21st Century Fox Disney agreement. The allegation that Disney, rather than Fox, finally decided to declare a default is simply made up. We look forward to pressing all the facts in the appropriate forum. And one thing that I would like to add about this theme park right over here is actually the fact that it was pretty soon to open. It actually did state that in the first half of 2019, it would have its soft opening and people would be ready to go in and ride the rides and stuff like that. So, holy crap, Disney really entered into some massive mess with this Fox deal, haven't they?
Woof. Yeah. Ugh. But yeah, what you said about the Fox, it's like, I remember hearing news about like they're making like a theme park based on like Fox properties like a while back, and that's like the last time I heard about it, because I didn't really hear anything else new said about it. And I was like kind of like thinking to myself, like once Disney like purchased Fox, and it's like, oh, what are they gonna do with that theme park that they're currently building right now? It's like, gotta think about that part, and yikes. Oh boy.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, it's already enough, like, from what we're seeing here, it's already enough of a mess that we see with Fox trying to forcefully renegotiate a deal. But then when you really add Disney into the mix, like, it really did add fuel to the fire. I mean, I guess with the aspect of a casino, it is unavoidable that there would be some renegotiations or stuff like that, but, like, it's just the factor that things have been going pretty bad so far, and now things are even getting worse with the aspect of Disney. It's more, I feel like this is a scenario where Disney kind of came in at a pretty bad time with this deal in particular. And one thing I would like to add is that I don't think this is the only theme park that Fox is trying to do. I believe that They also want to make a theme park in Dubai as well that is meant to open in 2020, but I haven't heard too much from it yet.
Yeah, I mean, not counting like the Simpsons Land and Universal, I don't recall any other like Fox theme parks from my knowledge.
Hmm.
So it would mean I don't know. Like when I first heard about the news, what back then when they were about to make the Fox Land, I was like thinking to myself like that'll be cool, but I feel like it's not going to be up in ranks when it comes to like Universal or Disney
Hmm.
because I remember like a while back you were talking about like that one theme park where they have like the Smurfs ride, the Hotel
Yeah.
Transylvania
Oh, right.
ride.
The Motion Gate Dubai. Yeah, like that had a bit like
Yeah,
in that one that had like a combination of like several different things. Like the main centerpiece is like DreamWorks Animation, and then they had a whole Sony section, and like they also had like an entire Smurf section on the side. Oddly enough, and on top of that, they even have a whole Lionsgate section where they would promote like the Hunger Games and all that kind of stuff.
right. I feel like that might go. If I were to make a prediction, I feel like that might take that route where like it looks great, atmospheres right wise, but when it comes to like for the rides themselves, they're gonna be like your standard like cheap like statue here, slow moving vehicles and all that stuff. And I don't know, I could be pretty wrong by how this new Fox Lane would be like executed, but yeah, going to like what you said, like the whole like controversy, all that stuff is like I don't even know like what to do in that situation. Like, yeah, Disney did purchase Fox at the wrong time when it comes to like that aspect because woof.
Yeah, it's like they're entering like now that they are entering in a one like a nearly $2 billion lawsuit. I mean, like some people could say like, oh, it's Disney, they could afford it, but still, $2 billion is a whole freaking lot, and especially with
Right.
a whole idea of a theme park. I guess it's one of those ideas that it's hard to really think that they would fully realize what they're getting themselves into when they purchase like what is essentially a rival company. And now that they would also include this, considering that Disney also has a giant market in the theme park industry, like if Disney would want to open a Fox World like this one, they would have to make some major renegotiations. They would have to change things up, especially with the casino aspect. Like, I'm sure if anything, they would want to try to get rid of that.
That, or they can just retheme it to Pleasure Island. Going back to Pinocchio. Kidding. But yeah, they would have to make some like major changes if that will be the case. But then again, maybe not. So I mean, I can see. Yeah, this is like something where I was like, I don't even know where to go from there because I can see why they're like they want to like sue them for this because yeah, because I was like thinking myself the other day is like since Disney now owns Fox, like you got to take in consideration about like all the other properties that's already been like established, like I said before, like the Simpsons land at Universal,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like what they're gonna. I feel like it's gonna be like what they're doing with like the Marvel lands, like they just like keep it intact and not like do anything with it unless something might happen in the future. Who knows? So
Yeah, true. Like that is already something that is complicated right there. The fact that yeah, if you want to fully experience stuff like Spider-Man and The Simpsons, then it's not really Disney that you got to go even though they own it. You got to go to Universal.
right, which is so bizarre to explain to people. Like, why is there like Marvel stuff in Universal? And it's like, I can tell you, but you rather want to sit down.
Yeah. It's
So,
such a complex situation that also requires a bit of knowledge of law as well. And on top of that, like even though they're trying to implement as much Marvel properties as they can, especially with Guardians of the Galaxy, like coming
mhm.
soon at Epcot with that roller coaster, and then like you already got Mission Breakout, but
Yeah, and
it is really complicated.
yeah, I don't want to be in like that mess. And also, they had like Doctor Strange as like a for that to promote the film, so they did that. But the whole thing of like the and yeah, going back to like the Fox World, like I'm sure there's like some contracts where they see feel like they can't do anything that's like that would like be a part with like Disney or something like that. I don't know the full details about the whole thing. So and but in the end, will this park be anything really spectacular if it were to be built?
Yeah, because the thing is with these with these Asian countries, or like the theme parks based on Asian countries, like they will have like major properties. Like you'll see, of course, like Universal or DreamWorks or even Fox, but like it's just the matter of the rides themselves if they're going to be anything spectacular, or if they would be even in the levels of like Disney or Universal. It really does depend on how much money
Right.
that they're willing to spend and how much resources are they willing to use. And
It,
honestly, I don't know. It's just like you look into it, it could be a little bit iffy.
it could. I mean, I'm sure for what it is, it'll be fine for like your fun theme park to go with family and
Yeah.
stuff. But it's like I said, it's all depends on the budget. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I
and
mean,
plus,
like, and you got to keep in mind, like, the investment that they put on this park is $750 million, which does
that's still
sound a lot. Yeah,
yeah.
that definitely does sound a lot, but is it a lot in terms of the major theme parks? Is it like a lot even by Disney or Universal standards? Because even like when you think about Disney's California Adventure, when that first opened, I think that one had like a pretty, like, it had a smaller budget, like what, around 600 or $700 million in total.
So, something like that, yeah. And this, I mean, this could be a case where it's like when they first open, the park itself won't be like the greatest, but I'm sure like down the road, if they have like enough money, they can like expand it and have like more advanced rides. But I could be wrong on that front because you did mention like that one theme park added like a How to Train a Dragon ride. I
Yeah.
saw video clips of that, and it looks like your simple generic ride, but again, it's all in the budget, so I can't be too harsh about it.
Yeah, exactly. You got to work with what you got. And I mean, like, you know, the funny thing is that with those attractions like in Motion Gate Dubai is that they have the spirit, they have the motivation, and they have the ideas in terms of developing like amazing attractions in the level of Disney and Universal, but they just don't have the money for it. They just don't have the budget. So that's the
Exactly. I
thing. It's
mean,
like you can feel the spirit, you can feel the ambition. It's just you don't see the execution matching up with that.
right. And plus the fact that unlike Disney and a little bit of Universal, Fox isn't really that recognizable as like a brand name when compared to like Disney. Because if you name like a because I feel like when people associate with Fox, they'll mainly think about like The Simpsons and like some of their TV shows. I don't think they'll like recognize like some of their properties on the top of their heads. Like, I mean, their movies are recognizable, but they won't say like, "Oh, I definitely love that Fox film."
Yeah, and
So,
if I may go into like I'm going into the Wikipedia article of 20th Century Fox World, and I'm trying to check out the properties that they would go and put up. Apparently, they would have like 25 rides. The theme park will be 250 acres in size and will feature roughly 25 thrill rides and attractions based on diverse films and franchises like Ice Age, Rio, Night at the Museum, Planet of the Apes, Alien vs. Predator, Sons of Anarchy, and Life of Pi.
soon
Apparently,
enough,
the
will be owned by Disney.
yeah, pretty
I'll,
much.
I mean, that sounds promising. I mean, I would be curious to see how they will pull off like the Planet of the Apes land or like the Ice Age areas. So it will be interesting in concept to see how they're gonna like execute like like the atmosphere itself. Because yeah, going back to that one theme park, even though the rides are that one theme park with like the Smurfs and all that stuff,
Hmm.
even though the rides themselves are not great, the atmosphere themselves look definitely makes you feel like you're in that world, like with like the Drax Castle or like the
Hmm.
Smurfs Village and all that stuff. So I'm sure they can be like executed well in that aspect, but with this whole lawsuit going on right now, who knows what's going to
Yeah,
happen?
it's like it's hard to even know if it's even gonna happen in the first place. That's the big
Right.
thing, is that with this lawsuit, we don't know if they are even gonna legitimately open it, or if Disney and Fox are even willing to pursue going into this area. And I saw in the chat wall, someone did mention that apparently the one in Dubai is currently on hold. They're not currently working on that right now, so maybe that whole thing is going to be scrapped. So I think that like this whole lawsuit is really going to it's really going to be a factor to see if Fox is even going to enter in the theme park industry in the first place. That's going to be a big factor with the result of this lawsuit. Are they going to move forward with this Malaysian attraction, or are they going to let it go and just let Disney do all the theme park stuff by themselves?
Honestly, I think the latter would be like the better option because Disney is well known for like their theme parks and their like imagine with like the imagination with going to the rides, but who knows right now?
Yeah, and you know, it's sad too because there are some attractions that do actually have some potential. Like when you think about properties, there are some that do have like a major chance. Like Ice Age definitely does seem like a pretty good idea. Planet of the Apes and Aliens versus Predator. But then again, there are a few that like you do kind of question a little bit. Like, okay, Night of the Museum, I do get it. Like that does sound like a pretty fascinating idea for a dark ride. Or like the whole thing kind of writes itself in a way, but it's just like the one confusing property among this list, honestly, is Life of Pi. How the fridge do you make a ride based on Life of Pi?
It'll be like a simulator. You're stuck in this boat. You just sit there for a good 4 minutes, watch the ocean, might come across a tiger. That's all I got.
Yeah, basically, it's like, so it's like, are you gonna be in on a boat with a tiger? Like, what the frick? No, are you? No. Are you gonna be like in a Splash Mountain type ride where it's a log flume, but you're just sitting with a tiger?
Basically, yeah. I wouldn't, that could work.
Oh yeah. Oh my god! It like in that case, it all depends on where the tiger is gonna be sitting. Like, if it's in front of you, then the picture is gonna be screwed.
Yeah, or it can be like a Pepper's Ghost effect, where it's like you got nothing in your boat, but like in certain scenes, you got the tigers feel like you're sitting next to that tiger.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Oh my god, it's such a weird idea, but yeah, I think that like it really does show overall the consequences of buying a huge company like Fox, and that not everything is going to go smoothly, and they will come across some problems, especially with this. So, honestly, we'll just have to wait and see with what Fox is going to do with if they really do want to go and pursue the theme park industry or not. So, we just really got to wait and see on that.
Basically, the moral story of this podcast, we just have to wait and see.
Yeah, a lot of it is, yeah, like, it does seem like a recurring theme with Pinocchio, with Spider-Man, and now with this, it's like, oh, like, will Malaysia have a Fox theme park? I don't know. I mean, most of it is already built anyways, if it's going to open in the first half of 2019.
Yeah, so, who
So,
knows?
so
But I
yeah.
wish,
Whoop,
yeah.
go on. Oh, okay. Anyways, let's go on to the chat wall, and I would like to ask you guys, what do you think of the entire lawsuit? Do you think Disney and Fox is actually going to get away with it? Do you think Fox is even going to have a theme park in the first place where we could have rides like Ice Age or Planet of the Apes or Rio and stuff like that? Let me know what you think on the chat wall, and place your thoughts in here. All right. Let's see. Personally, I don't think Fox has a lot of properties that could be spectacular in a theme park setting. Even with Universal Studios, the Wizarding World is probably the big reason why people would want to go, while everything else is mostly okay. But maybe they could make it work. I mean, like Alien versus Predator, I'd so enjoy an AVP ride. And also another one, who would have known that the Disney-Fox deal would have a negative effect in my home country? At least when Disney bought Marvel, they still let Universal Studios in Florida keep Marvel's Superhero Island. They also probably going to let Universal keep the Simpsons ride. But yeah, but you know, this is actually very interesting to discuss about, but it's also true that they do have like I mentioned, they do have properties worth talking about, and they don't necessarily have to make their own theme park in itself, because like they could just go to Universal and they can go to Disney, and they have collaborated with both before. Like we have seen some Fox properties in Universal, and we have seen Fox properties at Disney with Pandora. Like, that's honestly one thing I'm surprised that we have yet to actually discuss, is the fact that, like, Pandora is at Disney. So, like, if you really want to have a ride based on a Fox property, then why not put it at one of the Disney parks?
That could work. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it'll definitely more on the execution, but yeah, I'm down for anything.
Yeah, like that could definitely be the case. So the option is open for that, but going on
And
to
plus,
go on.
oh, sorry, I was gonna say like plus like they originally wanted to make like an alien ride. I mean, Disney originally wanted to make like an alien ride in the '80s.
Yeah,
So
that is true. The alien ride that would eventually turn into extraterrestrial. But you know, technically, there is a bit. There was an alien ride before, technically, with the scene in the Great Movie Ride.
yeah, that's the most we got of it, but not anymore. Sorry.
Yeah. And funny enough, Alien and Predator actually did make appearances during the Halloween Horror Nights at Universal. So, you know, funny enough, the xenomorph is actually one of the very few things that you know, it's one of the very few things that actually did cross over at both parks, at Disney and at Universal. Funny enough.
How weird is that?
Yeah, really.
That must have been really awkward, like being in both parks at the same time. And it's like, how does that make you feel, Alien?
Yeah, really. He's a trap. No, probably Alien is just like, what's wrong with that, man? I'm at Disney, I'm at Universal. You jealous, boy?
Yeah, most likely.
Exactly. That just sounds awesome. Let's see. I don't think Fox would have their own rides anytime soon. I mean, by the time Disney completes finishing buying up Fox, Disney should take some Fox properties over there and make it more attachable. They should just quit while they're attached before it gets even worse. Yeah, I think that would seem like the best option to just, like, you're going to be with Disney, so if you want to get into theme parks, at least be with Disney, where it's most likely going to work anyways.
True that.
Yeah. And I think with all that said, that should be it for today's episode. So I just want to say, Logan, thank you so much for coming over to discuss about this. I definitely had a blast with this episode.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thank you for having me on board. It's always great to like take part in this and all that stuff.
Yeah, no problem, dude. No problem. It was definitely a blast. And also, I would like to ask, like, as a final thing, that I'm sure there might be some people here who actually really did enjoy your company. So if they want to have more of you and also more of your cartoons, do you mind asking people where they could find you? Where is it that you would be available online?
Yeah, so I basically got like two places. I mean, I got a Facebook page and I got a Twitter page. It should be easy to find. All you gotta do is like type in ToucanLDM, and you should easily find it. And yeah, if you want to like get in contact with me or send me an email through that stuff, you can. Um, it's mainly best if you like want to send me like a personal message through Twitter, or you can like send me. I mean, I'm more on Twitter more than Facebook, so yeah. So I'll say that much. But yeah, if you guys really want to like take part or be interested, just let me know, and I'm like see what I can do.
All right, so that's good. That's good. So, with that said, Logan, thank you so much for coming, and thank you for coming to listen or to watch this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. We shall see what's going to be coming up in the future if we're going to have more crazy stories like this. So, I just want to say thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, see you later, dudes!
See ya.